This is Mac, right? So it's
Yeah.
space for moving on.
Space or the arrows? But we also want to.
No, you broke it. No, it's fine.
No, we also want to record the video here. All right.
Okay, I'll try to abstain from swearing, which is not easy sometimes. So hey guys, thanks for coming. I'm impressed that there's so many people dedicated to crypto trading. I'll tell you 2 words about me. I'm Dennis. I'm 41. I spent the last 20 years as a broker, dealer, and market maker at a very large German brokerage here in Berlin, TradeGate. And after reaching the Bitcoin age, I decided to try my fortune helping build a trading system for Bitwala. We'll get into the history of that in a minute. Just to get sort of an impression of who's here for what. So who's actively trading futures? So who's basically leveraging on futures markets on here? And who's doing manual trading only on beta 1 markets like Bitstamp or Kraken? So what do the others do then for trading? Is it just local Bitcoin guys or mycelium traders? Is there another option?
These are the hodlers probably.
Hodlers, so it's a crypto hodlers event, or like most crypto events. So anyway, obviously in the end it'll turn out that Bitwala is the option all those who didn't raise their hand now should use. So the story of Bitwala is a little bit shaped by regulation. We used to, it was founded in 2013, which was back then a very manual company, because the founders did the following. They had all 4BTC and E4BTC and some other 4BTC businesses that aren't fit for a presentation. And what they would do is you would point to an Amazon article, they would paste the URL into their internal system, they would invoice you for Bitcoin, and then they would manually order it and ship it to you. Right? That went well for quite a while, and then it didn't scale. So in 2015, that was what would then become Bitwala 1.0 was founded. So basically the model is you are a car rental without cars, right? You have hotel rentals or room rentals without rooms, like Airbnb and Lyft and Uber and all these things. So basically Bitwala just connected APIs. They connected the BitPay API to a bank account, and then you could send your Bitcoins to a bank account, and from then on pay your bills. That was a service that was very well received and did scale a bunch. So that's basically the basic setup. You would say, I want to pay 4,000 euro to a friend or a person or rent or whatever. We would generate an invoice. You would pay your Bitcoins to BitPay after 3 confirmations. They would send us the euro to our special purpose vehicle in the Netherlands, and from where we would either pay out the euro to whoever you designated as a recipient, or to the Visa prepaid card that we offered. So in the end, we had about 80,000 customers using this monthly. Alas, 2016, we generated a small investment from High-Tech Gründerfonds, which is basically a government-backed fund that's funded by DAX companies from Digital Currency Group, Barry Silbert. Some of you may remember the Segwit 2X story. He was the one behind that, and we were the ones who broke it, they say. And then Maschmeyer, who we all see every Tuesday evening in Höhle der Löwen with his Alston fund. In end of 2017, we were moving millions of euro each day, and on December 29, so there was 3 founders that founded this little SPV in the Netherlands, which had a Dutch bank account where all these monies were going through, and they were distributing to all kinds of different bank accounts. In the end of 2017, there were people buying literal houses and estates all over Germany and Europe, and so the bank kind of pulled the plug on us. Yeah, that was a sad day, but that was not, it kind of fucked up it kind of screwed with all our operations, so we weren't able to pay out the customers, obviously, and obviously all the money that was designated to the prepaid Visa cards was stuck, and it wasn't able to be withdrawn either. In 2018, to boot, then this wave crest company. There was a Visa reseller, lost their license. So we now had two debacles at our hands. The monies that were still blocked in the bank account in Holland, and then a couple of unusable Visa cards with considerable balances. So that's basically when all the regulatory issues that had amassed at this point came crashing down on us, and then we sat down and decided, okay, if we want to provide a service like that in the future, that's easy and convenient, and mirrors that we've had in the past, then we need to build it from the ground up. And to build it from the ground up means that we do it in Germany under BaFin regulation, and we don't go to Malta or Liechtenstein or, you know, what have you, all kinds of shady country like, let's say, Great Britain or so. And for that purpose, we raised another 4 million in early 2018 from Earlybird and Coparion, who are also known as investors in N26 in early days. And in January of this year, we were able to go live with a bank account, a debit card, and a crypto wallet in one account. And we then found out that the bank that we had our bank account with in 2017 was actually planning to do the same thing, but the project was cancelled the same date our bank account was cancelled due to risk limitations. So we kind of knew we were onto something that kind of was good to know. In August of this year, we raised another 13 million from NKB, Global Brain, and Sony. So basically here we are with this product. I can describe it in a minute, but I'll get you to sign up later so you can experience it yourself. So this is Bitwala 2.0. You have the card, you have all the wallet and the app and the account. We have a nice 5-figure number of users. We have double-digit million euro traded. We have more than 5,000 active used debit cards. And up to August, we've run no ads, no PR, because we're blocked like everybody else on Facebook and on Google. And we have no PR except for the occasional interview or talk or meetup or these kinds of events, right? So word of mouth, tell your friends. So this is the setup that we're doing right now. The secret here is that we're partnering with a bank that we've onboarded the exchanges on. So basically we're able to move money in and out of exchanges 24/7 within seconds, right? So if you want to buy the dip and you have your Sparkasse account and you want to send money to Bitstamp, that's going to take a while. Not if you're a Bitwala user. You can just trade with Bitwala, or you can send your money to the exchange and it'll be there within seconds. So you get your money out of your savings account, or you empty your mother's savings account and you put it into your Bitwala account, and then within instance, you'll be able to trade and we'll be able to move the funds between us and the exchange. The beauty of it is that your bank account, which is on your name, is normal SEPA account, is covered with 100,000 deposit insurance scheme, Einlagensicherungsfonds. It's a German concept where if the bank goes bankrupt, up to 100,000 euro of your money will not be bailed in. If you know someone from Cyprus, they will probably be able to sing you a song about 2-3 years ago when they just haircut everybody and all the money was gone.
So that's 100,000 per user, right?
100,000 people on your account. So everybody has one account, you have 200,000 on there, the bank gets bailed in, 100K is lost, 100K is left, right? I don't know anybody who would have that much money, because you should have it all in Bitcoin, obviously. And on the Bitcoin side, obviously nobody can bail you in, because it's altogether not your keys, not your coins. That's the motto that we operate. So you have your Bitcoin wallet, your multi-sig Bitcoin wallet, where only you can access your funds. And we're able to trade and pay out within one confirmation. So you want to sell your Bitcoins that are on your wallet, within one confirmation, you will most likely have your money. And with the occasional occurrence that the blocks are very full and transactions don't get through, so we pay out after one confirmation. And we only keep a small percentage of that on the exchange. So the previous model, so the Bitwala 1.0 model, this is where the regulation again comes in. If you remember, we pooled all your money, put it into one bank account, and then from that bank account we distributed it to different recipients. So if you want to pay your rent, or buy a house, or buy drugs, or just pay a friend, it all came from the same bank account. And under new regulations, the 5AML money directives, money directive, KYC and the ultimate beneficial ownership of the monies are very important. That's not very crypto. So basically, most of those who are or have been around for quite a while know that the most interesting crypto businesses take part mano a mano in this dark or bright street corner at room 77. So basically, the AML5 is not the most crypto-friendly regulation you can get. So we kind of have to take precautions because on one hand, Bitwala is a very hip, cool, and fruity crypto business. On the other hand, we're a bank, sorry, right? So this is where this comes in. So we have customers fully KYC. We have transaction monitoring on the euro side, obviously, like any normal bank. And then, of course, we have chain analysis on the Bitcoin side. So this is a bit difficult for some people to understand, but as a business that is actually looking to move towards regulated markets, so to build a business for the broad appeal and onboard people onto crypto, we need to appease to that regulated side of the business. So if you have your darknet coins, probably not a good idea to put them on Bitwala, right? But if you deposit from BitMEX or from any other exchange, that's totally fine. So there's different levels of risk that we associate with transactions. So the only thing that I think that's at 98% risk, we need to kind of lock your account if we can really see this account is Osama bin Laden's account or is directly associated with a drug trade or whatever. For example, an account. So if you deposit to us from, let's say, Binance, and Binance recently got hacked, then obviously the coins you send to us are basically from in the vicinity or are in the vicinity of a wallet that is associated with a hack. That is something that we raise a flag. We do manual investigations on that, and most of the time, so the last time I checked, the false positives are almost 100%. So basically, even if we do get a flag of, let's say, 33, 66% risk, then most of the times it's crap, and we disregard it, right? More than 50% of all the KYC cases that we get are incoming cryptos from known entities that have no to do KYC. That means the aforementioned Binance, BitMEX, all these. So if you're a trader that trades futures on a futures platform, OKX or whatever, and they have little to no KYC, and you bring your funds to Bitwala, there might be a question, and then we can identify these exchanges, and we actually welcome these funds moving into a more regulated space. And we see that as a sign that the service and services like these are actually accepted. So there's this funny catchphrase for whenever there's bad news in Bitcoin space, someone would say, well, that's actually a good thing because it means that money is moving from less regulated exchanges to the more regulated realm of Bitwala. And yeah. Then the next issue that AML5 brought is that the next level of trading will work on custody solutions. That means, again, a little moving away from the crypto idealist perspective. So you will give us your keys and we will custody them for you. That means we have control over them, but they are safe and sound and they are insured. But the custodianship needs to be a different entity. So basically we are now Bitwala, then the bank, and then another company that holds those crypto, which has to be audited many times over. That's also actually a good thing because if any of you are a victim of, let's say, a Mt. Gox hack way back in the day, in the real world, the exchange is never the custodian. So if you have a brokerage account and you buy some shares, then your money and your shares will never rest at the stock exchange. In crypto so far, if you want to buy or sell crypto, your money and your crypto are always on the exchange, so you have a single point of attack. And with this setup, we can actually make it so that the exchange and your funds are actually separate, right? And all the funds that are in the custody solution are actually commingled, so basically there's an added layer of privacy, if you will, on that. So this is the slide I made myself. It was actually for internal use, and I had an intern run over the presentation, make it more pretty. I don't know how she could ever miss that, or she didn't want to be mean. So basically, what you have here is a big bucket of Bitcoin, let's say, or any other cryptocurrency, and you have different ledger entries for all the customers that are onboarded on this solution. We have different temperatures, so that means we have something that we can only get to once a day, every 2 hours, and every 5 minutes, with different velocities between them. And then let's say if you want to place the limit order on Bitwala, or you want to set a stop loss, then we can just check our balance, transfer, credit the exchange in our custody solution, and then the exchange credits us in our exchange account, and we can then place the order for you, right? Which makes the whole thing almost feeless and almost frictionless in that regard, because it's very quick. I think every other day now, we're getting news from the States that Backed and Kingdom and whatever they are launching custodian solutions and actually offer this inter-custodian trading against, so if you have 100,000 Bitcoin, you want 2 million Ethereum for them, you'll just update the ledger, and then a week later you can do an on-chain transaction to mirror that if you would like to. So this is the short, so basically we ended up from just connecting the APIs to enable you to make a quick payment or buy a house if you want to thinking of 3 different companies and a bank and a custody solution, all because these different levels of regulations and account closures forced us to this. But I hope with the following appeal to call to action, as they call it in marketing, you should all sign up and make heavy use of our solution. And also we're hiring like crazy. So I put some flyers on the drink desk. So if any of you have any friends, families, acquaintances, or know someone who can write a program, then we'd be more than happy to accommodate them in our dev cave for future employment. If you have any questions, I'm not quite sure, I was probably pretty quick in my presentation. If you have any questions, I'm more than happy to answer them. With this, I conclude. Thank you.
I have already a few questions.
Oh my God, yes.
Also to give the audience some time to think about questions. So you mentioned the regulatory aspect early on.
Yeah.
You guys didn't want to be located in a jurisdiction
Right.
like Malta or Cyprus, for instance. Why especially Berlin or Germany?
Because so all founders are from Berlin, so home sweet home. And also because we were looking for this made in Germany thing. So we think that having BaFin as a backer and having BaFin approval, this would make it easier to passport. So even if we would have a bank in Malta, or if we were a bank in Malta, if we wanted to go to Germany, we would have to passport there. So we would have to apply, or at least ask for permission to conduct banking business in Germany. So it's not like you can found a bank in France or in Germany and then just immediately go and solicit customers in all the countries. We can only offer our services in Germany, and if it so happens that a French guy or a Spanish guy come and sign up, that's fine. We can't have to actively market in Spain. Yeah. Having a BaFin stamp of approval makes it much easier to apply for these passports in other European countries than, let's say, something from Malta. If you were a Maltesian bank from Malta or from Cyprus or from Liechtenstein maybe not, but from these countries, and you want to open operations or actively market to Germany, then BaFin will make it much harder for you than when you come from Germany and want to operate officially in France or Spain or Italy.
To which countries do you currently provide your services for your crypto bank account?
EU, so European Economic Union, and since we only have a Euro account, so that means if you're British, that's fine, we'll have you, but you'll still have a Euro account. So, and also I think just but that's secondary, but just looking at the account data, German IBAN, is just a little more sexier than a Liechtenstein or Italian one.
Very true. So you said Facebook ads, so when you were talking earlier on about not doing any ads and stuff. Facebook now slowly focuses also on the topic of cryptocurrencies, especially with their project Libra now coming up.
That's dead.
And also they changed actually the advertisement
Right.
policy.
We got unblocked, I think, less than 2 weeks ago. And we also hired someone, our chief growth officer, we hired directly from Google
All right.
Ireland. So basically we are unblocked there also. So, and with the funding round, it was more a matter of focusing on building the product and getting the bank stuff right and everything. And now since we have the product, we are focusing a bit more on PR and marketing, because it's also expensive, I can tell you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sure. Also, I read you guys just received funding
Yeah,
last month for another round.
In August, in 13 million, right? So looking to make heavy use of that, and that's hence also the marketing and the hiring.
Excellent. Then, do you have any advice for traders here in terms of regulation when it comes to how to do tax returns?
Taxes. It's always difficult. So we work together with CryptoTax, who are also provided help by Vinhela.
So you say
CryptoTax. It's a German company that specializes in crypto taxation.
Mm-hmm.
Don't forget to pay your taxes. We're being filmed. What can I say?
Removing St. Kitts.
Yeah.
Good.
Right, buy an island or something. No, taxation is very difficult because you have all this last in, first out, and change back addresses make it really difficult. And if you're trading futures, again, that's more difficult. And us being corporate traders, it takes a step beyond that, because you have to pay not capital gains tax, but you pay corporate tax, and then you have a revaluation P&L and the trade per trade P&L, and it really is much more difficult than it should be, in my opinion. But hey, that's
Great. And last question from my side, and I hope maybe the audience has a few more. Since you guys are a crypto bank, I think also there's certain interest from the institutional side to work together with you guys. Do you see now, since you guys started, a larger adoption in the institutional space, that companies are now coming to you and want to have a crypto bank account?
Yeah, most of these corporate and most of the corporate interest is one time. So basically, you have family offices or you have private funds who just want to buy, or they say they want to buy a certain amount of millions of bitcoins or euros of bitcoins or whatever. It's not quite clear that this is a business case for us, because even if you have one person that buys 7 million euro worth of Bitcoin, for them to onboard and for us to store them, which is easier now with the custody solution. So we'd rather have active traders, right? So our main revenue stream is from trading, so we prefer active customers. One opportunity that one could see is that BitPay has just left the German market. I'm, however, not sure that the German market in payments, like in actual payments in Bitcoin, is that big, and that's why the workaround with our card, so you could just as well use our SEPA account or use your card anywhere, and you will just get rid of all the other companies that might provide that bridge, right?
So you don't see any interest from hedge funds yet?
Yes, we do, but these people make decisions that take weeks, and then they make a decision, and then that decision stands for a quarter. So even if every 6 months someone turns around 10 million worth of Bitcoin in one trade, you have to give them very competitive rates. And so I think that market is pretty much covered, but with the custody solution that's coming up in the next 6 months, we'll revisit that. Because then the friction is just smaller. Because I think hedge funds will appreciate having 5 million euro worth of Bitcoin in limbo just because someone didn't pay enough fee or anything. I think it was a couple of days ago someone moved $1 billion worth of Bitcoin, and all Twitter was like, "Wow, how you do this? They paid $800 fees," and it was like all this. It raised quite a ruckus. So institutionals are really looking for this. In-house service provided by a bank with a custody solution where they can just hand off the keys and not have to do anything with it, just hand over the money, and 10 minutes later have their crypto. And that friction is still a bit too big in the current solution.
Great. So do we have questions here from the audience? Anyone?
Yes.
Yes, I actually have a car.
Yeah.
Bitwala. Yeah, I got an account like a few weeks ago, and I saw right now, I think you have a trading limit of 15,000 per week.
Yeah.
And 1% trading fee, which is that going to change in the future?
It's both going
perhaps,
to change.
or- Okay.
It's both going to change. So that 1%, of course, so we can argue if the 1% is expensive or not. I think it's fine if you see that other bank accounts are charging for the card and charging for the account, and there will be more competition in the space and the fees will go down. The 15K per week, it used to be per month, is rooted in this whole AML5 thing. So we can't just have people deposit Bitcoin, instantly trade for any amount, and then move out. So we had to kind of move up and get to know our customers, get to know the system, but we're actually petitioning for removing all the trading limits. I think for the B2C customer that wants daily spending or even pays rent, 15K a week is sufficient. And if you are moving into higher limits, then maybe it's time for us to think about B2B accounts or heavy user accounts or tiers that give less fees with improved limit, with improved trading. But right now we're really working on getting the MVP done, this product, and getting growth. And then with the more market power we have, the cheaper we can become, and the less limits we can offer. The more limits we can offer. Yes.
Do we need a German passport?
No.
Because I'm trying to sign up, but there's only Germany. And then it tells me like country not on the list, and it says sorry, you cannot do.
Maybe you're in some weird VPN. I don't know. So I'm German. I'm used. So I know we have 2 people in the company that weren't able to sign up. One of them is American. One of them is Chinese.
And I'll try the website.
Okay. Should work. Try the mobile app. We have
This is the
onboarding.
mobile app. The mobile
Okay.
app, at least on iOS 13 it doesn't work.
That's
Do you have a
So I'm
support resource?
the what?
A support resource.
I have a support resource. It's just support@bitwala.com. People are sitting there every day trying to help. Sorry.
Sorry.
I
Wish
did
I could
have
help here.
a lot of pain while signing up for the first time with N26 as well. So.
So the most difficult part of the sign up process should actually not be the Bitwala part, but the KYC part, the video ident and all the proof of address stuff. But that's also the made in Germany thing, because since we are a German bank, we need to subject everybody to German KYC processes. So if we were a British bank or somewhere in Malta, then we would have to have everybody follow the KYC rules of that country. But then again, if we wanted to go to Germany, we would have to re-KYC everybody. And so there was a German customer and living in Germany. So that really is for us, it's a bit more of a growing pain being in Germany and subjecting everybody to German regulations. But after that, it should become much easier for us at least to address everybody else.
Yeah, I just want to ask what your main responsibilities were as a trader,
Okay.
and how active are you in trading?
So and not as much as I'd like to be, but I have a team of 4 that does most of the trading. So we have an engine that checks the in and outflow of the orders. So we have times obviously where there's more traffic, and we have time where there's little traffic, like in the middle of the night. Then we can just let the program run on autopilot, and we just get alerts when something's wrong, when position limits are hit. I'm mostly right now looking into designing and implementing with my product manager and the product team these solutions for customers. So basically, in my past, I started out, the company that I worked with before started out as an MTF. So basically, we were the backend when you went to a broker and you wanted to buy 1,000 shares of some stock. They would offer you a price right there at the brokerage, and then they would come to us and we would trade with them. So kind of a backend white label exchange, if you will. And over the time of over 15 years, we grew to a fully regulated exchange, and my plan is to do the same with Bitwala. So basically that you have the Bitwala app and you can trade with us, and then over the time we open up, we offer more currencies. So really I'm working on implementing scalability, more exchanges, the custody solution, API maybe for traders, more limits and all this kind of stuff. So it's a bit more managerial and less trading, but we do a lot of trading, and we also, aside from the manual trading on the exchanges, we hedge in futures, and so a bit of math involved there at least, but not. So I don't sit there with 9 screens and just trade all the time. It's a bit more hands off. But I have a good team that does good work. And we're not hiring traders, sadly, but if you're a programmer also, then you can still go.
The scaling spaces desires wants us very much to organize a hackathon in the future. So if you guys could attend and probably provide some anonymized data.
GDPR, we'll see. There'll be a 20-page contract for that probably. So yeah, the thing is that we really can't, so this is why I also chose regulation, because I really can't talk shop a whole lot, because it's all secret, not secret, but it's our own stuff. So I don't want to spill all the beans, and I don't want to give away all the structures. So basically this rough overview, I hope it was still interesting to see what kind of stuff we have to deal with to just provide the simple service of click a button, buy a Bitcoin, done. Really is a lot of work behind the scenes.
Good, and do we have another question? And my last question, which currencies do you currently support, besides the fiat currencies?
Bitcoin. So we are close to implementing Ethereum, and not because we love Ethereum so much, but we're looking to be the gateway into DeFi and into enabling everybody to do their savings and everything in crypto. So since those tokens right now run on Ethereum, we're doing Ethereum next. But I think, judging from Bitwala 1.0 and from everything I know, 95% of all the payments and all cashing out is done in Bitcoin. So basically Ethereum, we're building the wallet ourselves, so you have the wallet on your phone and not with some third-party provider. Yeah, you'll be able to store all your tokens, and then with the taxation tool that we're also working on, if you have DAI, let's say, or compound DAI, and you get interest, then you can download a tax declaration, and these kinds of services we're looking into to make people's life easier and to kind of get them into the habit of investing and diversifying through crypto.
So if I want to turn my cryptos quickly into fiat currency and pay my rent with it, then Bitwala is the best solution for it.
Not only for that, but for that also, yes.
Okay.
Exactly, good pitch. So I can only encourage you to sign up. My email is dennis@bitwala.com. Please don't make me your personal hotline, but if you really are encountering hard problems, then just drop me a line and reference this meeting, and then after we've solved it, please forget it again. And then we'll try to get you on board as this fellow here now experienced problems which should not have happened.
It's gonna be fixed.
Any social media pages?
Well, we're at Bitwala on Twitter. I don't know what we're doing Instagram really. On Facebook, obviously, there's now 5 Bitwalas, so you'll have to figure out which one is the correct one. 4 of them are obvious scams. Twitter, Bitwala. I'm Mr. Daiber on Twitter. Follow us. We try to not spam funny memes all the time, but really provide informative content.
Great. Then
Thanks,
another
guys.
round of applause for Dennis. Then we have Raphael now from Humboldt University,
I think I found it out, but I think I need
who is going to talk about the cryptocurrency index and why there was a cryptocurrency index necessary.
Can you see the video here?
Okay. Du meinst Kommando ein?
Einfach Video das hier, like,
Okay.
yeah, just start typing.
Wonderful. Then I'll ask for your attention, please.
Well, welcome, ladies and Germans, Brexiteers, and also Russian spies, maybe, if some among you. Today I will talk to you about, I will present you a very academic project which received input from many different sources and many different great minds. So it will be a very academic talk. So we will do it just university style, open your mind, and I will just shove everything into you. And hopefully you can take something with you, but I have to disappoint some of you. If you have hoped to receive a nice evening of mathematics, no. Mathematics is not my field, so I will just swiftly jump over everything which is deep into formulae. But if you have any questions, or if you want to know more about us, you're warmly welcome to our location. We're at Dorothienstraße 1. And you can just come around for a cigar and a drink, and we will have some fun and talk about our projects. So, digital finance is nothing new for us. and we are deep into finance, and we know everything since the ages when gold was king. And most of you probably know XCOM and its history, and some of the cryptocurrencies or digital currencies which were around. But this was nothing very interesting for us because there was no money behind it in a deep sense. But the problem for us was that essentially in our history we were invited to places where we received some honorary, but we only received a very small amount out of it because there were so many intermediaries in between who just collected all their fees, and this was something which was very annoying for us. But then we had a guy who said, hey, look, there's something called cryptocurrencies and I'm working on it. This was Simon Trimborn, and he said, if you invest, you can get a really nice chunk of money out of it. And we were, oh, really? So we were looking at what we know and what we know about traditional assets, traditional finance, and wanted to construct something which is in correlation with the digital world of cryptocurrencies. Therefore, we want to construct a total market index for the cryptocurrencies. And hence, the cryptocurrency index called CRIX was born. I will shortly move over our toolbox, which we have created thus far. And as said, it's very academic. So if you have deeper questions, just come around. This said, as we are an academic project, all our research is very transparent and all our codes are online. Here, when you see a Q, this links over to Quantlet to GitHub, and there you can find all our codes and all our research resources. This says the cryptocurrency index is a market cap weighted index which is dominated by the Bitcoin, of course, and its constituents change every 3 months. This means that we do not take every cryptocurrency that is in circulation into account, but here you can see something like kernel density estimator and such things. And such, the constituents of the cryptocurrency index change over time. The red lines indicate the total amount of cryptocurrencies which have some sort of liquidity, and the black line indicates the actual constituents of the CRIX. So it changes over time, and we have some methods how these constituents are chosen, so it will not always be the same. And as we are an academic research project, we are looking at different things which are very interesting for the practitioners, mostly from the traditional assets. For example, the moments, skewness, kurtosis, whatever, tails, very important. And if you're interested in the data which we are using with CRIX, you can always sign up at CRIX and get our data and, for example, compare it with the data you have. And maybe you get different results because there are many different exchanges out there. And let's figure first on the most basic research. The first econometric research that was done on cryptocurrencies was by Kathy Chen and others. And we will, in the fourth run of this presentation, will always recur on this. It was the first econometric analysis done on cryptocurrencies, and it really showed off that the methods we know from traditional assets don't really fit into the world of cryptocurrencies. And some prediction models which are commonly used don't really work out with cryptocurrencies, for example, because they're extremely tail-heavy. And thus brings us to a model which was created by Kolesnikova, which we'll then call Kim. She was trying to predict the volatility of certain constituents. And the VCRIX, the volatility cryptocurrency index, is trying to represent and to predict the volatility of different coins, like, for example, say Bitcoin or Ethereum. And it's very interesting also because it has different traits which lead us to different research opportunities. For example, say a regulatory index. What happens, for example, if, we had it in the talk before, if certain measures kick in from certain regulators? What happens if the US does something, the South Korean tax office does something different, and say France says, no, don't do it at all. And we can actually identify certain happenings in our graphs. And when we actually receive news, which we source from different, say, social media outlets, we can also then predict these volatility outcomes, which is quite interesting. This also brings us to the question of options. We had previously the question if somebody actually trades with futures, and we are very interested in the question if or how we can actually price options on cryptocurrencies. And we are having different approaches. The most commonly used is the stochastic volatility correlated jumps model, which has proven to yield the best results, for us at least at the moment. And we are actually combining these with sentiments sourced from social media. For example, here we have an example from StockTwits. Some of you may know this. And what's the outcome of the sentiment and the return? And this is sometimes very interesting, sometimes it's a bit confusing, but the more this market matures and the more people venture into it, the more it actually correlates. And this is something which can also be used by the practitioner in the end. We had it before, that the hodlers here, most of you apparently, and we are putting this also into our models, that we give certain weights to a certain sentiment which we scrape from social media outlets. For example, a scam would be obviously very negative, or a hodl would be obviously a bit positive. And we are trying also to create or research how to create certain portfolii for cryptocurrencies and how to mix and match them with traditional assets. This one actually is quite interesting. It's from F5 Finance, which tried to create an CRIX index outperformance token, and they actually got us started with this idea. And we are actually having quite interesting outputs how to mix these, and we've tried different approaches, and this is publicly available here as a discussion paper. For example, max diversification and max return yields the best results. Which assets you should also should mix into cryptocurrencies? Should you just do like some standard pool of 500s mixed together with Bitcoin, or should you put more cryptocurrencies in there, less traditional assets? So this is quite interesting, but we are just researchers and we are not doing this in practice. And we have, as we are a very diverse research group, we have also some people who are very interested in, for example, machine learning. And this is something which is actually for us quite interesting, because we've heard about something which is called peer-to-peer lending. And peer-to-peer lending is also a point which should be a very interesting research opportunity in the future, and how we can actually implement it in a realm like in a real world like Germany. We heard it before. And this brings us to points like, how can you actually, what do you need to put into your model, and what do you have to neglect? Should you put more American information in there? Should you put more German information in there? This also depends on where you want to base your company in the end. For example, we heard here that this Germany is king, apparently. It's nice to hear. And our output of this research is quite interesting, as some approaches, like for example long only or long short strategies with a C, could yield different approaches. And as I said, these codes are online available. If you want to use this for your commercial entity, then feel free to do it. And we actually have this also in line with a different research project we are using, is the financial risk meter, which we want now to enlarge to also to also include cryptocurrencies. At the moment, we are only using traditional assets to predict how high the risk level is. This may not be confused with the CRIX, with the volatility cryptocurrency index, because this only is about volatility, and here it's about risk meter. So this is also to do what happens if, for example, some regulators say, "Oi, you, for example, in China, you may not do anything with Bitcoin because it harms our national currency or something like this, or what has to do with the South Koreans is also very interesting.
So,
Uh,
sorry, one question before you jump to the next slide. How do you quantify that risk?
How do we quantify risk?
Yeah, I mean, I guess the red line is your risk meter.
Yes, risk has different constituents. For example, risk can be volatility. Risk can be input like a regulatory action, just to mention two.
Okay.
Or for example, also trade volumes. If somebody is just pump and dumping. And actually, we have a guy from PIMCO working on this, so we can say that our research results are quite based on the real world and not really completely academic. What's also very interesting, we are using some variational Bayes methods to predict or how to analyze certain market movements. When it becomes a bullish market, when it becomes a bearish market, and so on. And actually my realm, as I said, I'm not a mathematician. I'm more into the legal side of things, so if you have any questions about this, then feel free. And this is our crew actually. CoinGecko are providing us with the data. These other two guys over here, for example, Firamis, they are a fintech company based at Frankfurt am Main, and some academic research advisors. And this is the crew at the Humboldt University, the main crew, so to say. We have Kathy Chen, who's now going to Great Britain, Professor Herlo, of course. Then we have Kolesnikova/Kim, who is working on the volatility cryptocurrency index. Then we have a hardcore mathematician, Lili Matic, who is doing the option pricing for cryptocurrencies. Then we have Ala Petukina, who is deep into portfolio, and Michael Althoff, he's from PIMCO. I, of course, I'm also here. Maybe this guy is familiar to some of you. This is Bruno Spilak. He works for blockchain now called Daiber Solutions here at Berlin. Simon Trimborn, professor at Singapore, and Chen Zhang from China. All right, thank you very much.
With which external institutions do you work usually together? I mean, I've had contact in the past with the CRIX team, and there's some local companies, for instance, that work together with. And it would be great to know what you guys work on with them. I'm not in detail, but I mean.
So we have a very, as said in the beginning, we have a very diverse crew, and it's quite fluctuating also because the main crew is consisting out of, as we are a research institution, consisting out of PhD students. These PhD students have also very diverse backgrounds. For example, some are very deep into IT, some are very hardcore mathematicians, statisticians, you name it. And then we have also a differentiation between the totally academic side of people, and then we have people like, for example, Bruno here, who is an external PhD student who works, or for example also Michael Althoff, who work for actual practitioners and give us real-world input. So at times you are only in your mind bubble, so to say, and only work deeper and deeper into formulae or something like this, but you also may not forget that the real world sometimes acts differently. And this is why we are now heavily working on things like sentiment.
Yeah, sentiment, great. We have another practitioner here from the sentiment space.
Yeah.
As Michael, by the way, CEO of Augmento, was speaking in the past. So probably some questions afterwards from the sentiment space. But great, with some more questions from the audience. Otherwise, I would maybe.
You said there was a GitHub?
Yes, of course. If you want to have any insight in our research, you just go to. Let's just do it like this. Where do we have it?
Do you need the browser?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're using Chrome?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. This is quantlet.de, It's a visualization website, it's some sort of a scope, so to say, for our repositories on GitHub. If you are searching for anything like, for example, volatility, you find all our repositories here. And for example, yeah, of course, here we see the CRIX and everything which could be, it's also tagged with the keyword of volatility. So if you're, for example, using the keyword CRIX, you can also find here certain clusters. All these clusters are related to certain keywords, so just look through. If you are searching for some input or idea how to actually solve a problem in regards to sentiment or to volatility, then just use this scope and find the solution essentially. And if you click on it, whoops, you just go to GitHub, Quantlet, CRIX date, for example, and you will receive all the information. Yeah.
Great. I'll definitely include that in the meetup notes as well.
Any other questions?
So you mentioned, the F5 crypto.
Yeah.
They're also doing an index.
Yeah.
I think they do top 20 cryptos. How do you differ to that one?
F5 Crypto actually was trying to do this token, this outperformance token based on the cryptocurrency index. So we are not really a competitor because they are a private company who want to make some money, and we are a research project, so we are constantly also using ideas which not necessarily may yield money in the foreseeable future, but may potentially be of use in, say, 2 years. It's like also with mathematics. Sometimes you don't get results immediately or money immediately. And F5 Crypto, as a private company, they of course need to finance themselves. And if you don't want to run a, let's say polemically, an ICO scam or whatever, then you need to get some money, right?
Okay, I see.
Please.
Is your index and your volatility index correlated in real time? Is it online?
Yes, indeed. As the CoinGecko data is streamed to our website. Here we have it. Oops. And immediately, okay, the CRIX.e.
Yep.
Streamed to our website, and in the background, in the back end, we have some codes running, and this is immediately translated to these charts, which you can see here. And over here, you can switch over to the volatility index. And then you get the actual data here. This is from the 10th of September. Maybe make it a bit smaller. Oops. And you can see how certain things have developed. And if you go over to the cryptocurrency index in general. Oops. And here, of course, as mentioned, the data. Here you can see the constituents. Previously, we had a time where there were 50 constituents, and we said, no, okay, maybe 50 cryptocurrency coins. They have some sort of liquidity, yes, but we need to scale it down a bit to only implement the most traded ones with substantial backing. And therefore, we have reduced it now to these you can see here, which are most probably also the ones you know the best. And as said, as a research project, everything is public. We provide the solutions. If you have problems, actually, which you cannot solve, we are very interested in hearing these problems because we are being paid to research solutions. And for us, it would be a tit and tat. You give us some data which we can work on. Of course, you want the solution for your data, and we provide the solution. Just come over our offices and we have a talk. Just search through this website, certainly, and you can find many, many input that could be interesting for you. Quite interesting also, maybe let me mention this without stepping on a feet.
Please.
As this event is for practitioners, we have an event chain which is called a series which is called the Blockchain Nights. And actually, on the first Blockchain Nights, we also had Bitwala. And to make it a circle, Bitwala is also financed by a project for the EU, which is Horizon 2020. And we also have a project in Horizon 2020. So we are some sort of a team here, right?
Many connections here in the Berlin space. That's correct.
Okay.
Great. So, if we don't have any more questions, then I would ask for another round of applause for Raphael. I will just quickly point to the website, meetup.com. There we go. To our group where you will find our event. In the event you will already find most of the links that are relevant for this meeting. One of them also the CRIX. And here in the Meetup notes I will post, or in the Meetup comments, I will post later on further links that we heard today in during the talks, as well as the Meetup recording. So with that, I'll conclude our current session today. Thank you very much for coming, and please take some time to talk to the presenters. Thank you. Oh yeah, and if you want, you can grab another drink in the kitchen. They're in the fridge. Dankeschön. Gerne, immer wieder. Und wie gesagt, wenn du irgendwas nicht sehen konntest, ich habe sogar eine Aufnahme gemacht vom Bildschirminhalt. Ja, das schneiden wir dann zum Schluss zusammen und dann nee, ich habe schon gesagt, Recording und du hast selber schon gesagt, das landet im Kommentar. Alles klar. Sag noch. Was denn? Also wenn du noch